Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to combat hesitation. I'm sure we've all been in that place where you procrastinate on something like a homework, asking out that girl, your taxes. I know I'm procrastinating on some things, so I'm not going to sit on my high throne and be like, oh yeah, procrastination is something I don't deal with. But I do have some cheat codes that are going to help you guys out with this to take more action and procrastinate less. So first, you might ask, what causes procrastination and what causes hesitation? So hesitation is primarily a byproduct of the prefrontal cortex, which is a part of the brain that is responsible for decision making. And so while the prefrontal cortex is very important when it comes to day-to-day decisions, especially logical ones and rational ones, it can sabotage you in certain areas. So I'm actually going to give you a cheat code that's going to help you bypass the prefrontal cortex when it comes to hesitation to things. Because when you see something that you want to do and you hesitate on it, or you see something that you procrastinate on it, actually what happens is that the longer that you don't take action towards that thing, it directly correlates to how much hesitation is going to build up in your brain. This is a quick drawing, not gonna make it look amazing, but this is your brain. This is your brain, and essentially when you see something that you want to do that's important, like your homework, pretty lady you want to go approach, or anything, your brain can sometimes trigger a threat response or a hesitation response. And this isn't always a bad thing, because this is a survival instinct that's designed to protect you. However, not everything that causes hesitation is always a threat. So you want to be able to bypass that. So we're going to use a special trick called the 3-second rule. The 3-second rule is essentially where you see something that you want to do, and within 3 seconds, you have a countdown go down in your head. And when that 3rd second hits, you better be at that thing immediately. The 3-second rule is going to allow you to bypass the prefrontal cortex when it comes to logical decision making. And that's essentially going to erase any hesitation. And while it may be scary, it's going to ultimately get you to do that thing. Ideally, you want to take action before the 3rd second, because every second that you wait, your hesitation meter increases. So if this is hesitation, when you have 1 second, it goes up, like right here. When you have 2 seconds, it goes up, like right here. 3 seconds, right here, where I have it shaded. And then 4+, you're kind of cooked at this point. But the longer you wait, like say it gets to 10 seconds, this is where your brain completely sabotages any action related to that thing. So yeah, if you want to take action towards certain things that you don't feel like doing, use a 3-second rule. This also ties into another trick that I'm going to get into, which is starting as small as possible. So you guys might have something like a big project that's very time consuming and just a pain in the ass to deal with. But what you can do that will actually get you started and help you build momentum is starting extremely small. So that can look like if you have a 10-question homework assignment on like something difficult like calculus, all you got to do is start with 1 question. And you may question this and be like, well, I'm not going to get anything done. Trust me, what starts in motion stays in motion. So if you got 10 questions, and you start with 1, what that's going to do is it's going to directly bypass the like the fear circuit within the prefrontal cortex. And you can apply the 3-second rule to this as well. Like if you're hesitating with your homework or something else, like we're just using this for example, you want to use a 3-second rule, and then you want to start with something, you want to start very small. So just start with 1 question. If you're hesitating to get into the gym, just go to the gym and lift like 5 reps. Start small, because what that's going to do is, it may not seem like much, but it's getting you started and it's building you momentum. And then that's going to build you the confidence to keep on going. The video is going to be shorter than the other ones because I want to keep it short and sweet and just make my videos a bit shorter and to the point. But the 3rd trick that we're going to do is we're going to incorporate breaks into the activity. So something that might stop you from taking action, like when it comes to your homework or whatever, is the fact that it's super long, it's painful, it's excruciating. Your brain naturally wants to gravitate towards the path of least resistance. So you're gonna negotiate with your brain to make it do a little bit of what you want. And this point kind of delves into the territory of another video topic, so I'm not gonna elaborate too much on it, but it does relate to the concept of overcoming hesitation. So I'm gonna include that as well. That can look like if you're in the gym, what I do when I go to the gym, I do sets. So that can look like doing one set. I do upper, lower. I do upper 2 times a week and lower 2 times a week. So what you can do is, like, say you're just having a bad day and you're feeling super lazy and you don't want to continue much. What you can do is do one set and then take a break for like 2 to 3 minutes and then get back to that. And this applies to fitness, but this also applies to educational stuff. Like, I study computer science, so if I'm programming and I'm working on like a long project, what I can do is I'll code for like 10 minutes, or I'll write like a certain amount of code, or I'll set whatever amount of time to do that. This is really up to you guys. It's what you want to, what's more comfortable for you. But essentially, no matter what the variable is, the point is to take a break, because the break gives your brain time to cool down, and then that will motivate you to keep going. The 3-second rule, this is actually something I use a lot in my day-to-day life to combat hesitation, and I'll give you some examples of how I use it personally. So when I first started working at my job as a medical office specialist, where I was working at the front desk with patients at a clinic, I kind of struggled with, getting payments from people, because that wasn't something I was super used to in the context of like higher bills. I first started, like everyone else starts with a fast food job, and it was pretty straightforward because people more or less knew what they were going to pay whenever they chose their item. Like, they weren't going to really be bitchy about it. Thing was, when I started working in a medical setting, medical expenses can really add up, and some people are really stingy about making payments. So I was a little bit hesitant because there was like I want to say 50% chance or so that each time I tried to go for a payment, that the person was going to be a little bit difficult for me. And this was just something I had to improve at when it comes to confrontation and handling conflict, which I have gotten much better at. But what really helped me out was using the 3-second rule. Sometimes I would hesitate with getting payments, and what I would do was I would use a 3-second rule. I'd be like 1, 2, 3, and I'd call the person's name, and then I let them know, like, hey, you have this balance, or hey, you have this copay. And what this can look like in daily life is, if you see someone that you want to approach, like you see a pretty girl or whatever, you got 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, count down your head. And something that helps me sometimes, I don't always do this, but I use like a physical trigger. Like, I'll snap my fingers. Within those seconds, you want to be making motion towards that thing. Like, you shouldn't just be going when the 3rd second hits. Like, within the 1st second and 3rd seconds, you have to actually be walking towards that thing, or like taking like a small step towards it. Like, for example, there have been some times where I've cold approached women in public, and when I started with 1, I was already walking towards a girl, because if you wait till 3, then you have a higher chance of getting sabotaged. So while you do have 3 seconds as a threshold, you want to take action as soon as possible. You want like a couple milliseconds towards when you're going towards that thing, because that'll make the bypass effect much stronger. Another example is that I hate washing dishes. It's like one of the things I dislike the most when it comes to cleaning. I'll do laundry, I'll sweep, I'll vacuum, whatever. But dishes has always just been the bane of my existence. And something that I've used to help combat my hesitation when it comes to not wanting to wash dishes is I'll use a 3-second rule, for example. I'll start little, like I'll start with a fork or a spoon or a plate, something small to get started with, and then that'll build the momentum. So while you can use each of the tools that I've listed separately, it'd actually be more optimal to use all of them at once for the best result possible. The ironic thing is I actually used the 3-second rule to record this video because it's about 10 at night and I was about to start heading to bed, but then I'm like, dang, I could record a video. And I was overthinking a little bit. I'm like, well, I'd have to make a bunch of clips, I'd have to review them, I'd have to edit them. But I use a 3-second rule to pretty much bypass any excuses. As well, I just didn't want to be a pussy and not record, because I need to get these videos up. So that just goes to show that it is effective and this stuff works. So on recap, the first method that we have to bypass hesitation is using the 3-second rule, which is going to give you a 3-second window in which you take action towards an object or an activity in order to bypass the prefrontal cortex, which may hold you back towards doing that thing. Next, we have starting small, which can mean one dish, one plate, a couple push-ups, a couple reps of lifting, a few problems of your homework, like starting with one. Anything, even if it's really small, it will build momentum and it'll get you started versus you just overthinking. And then last but not least is taking breaks, which will help you to keep up the momentum, avoid burnout, and just be more sustainable when it comes to keeping up an activity in the long term. I hope this video will help you guys out when it comes to hesitation. I know this is something that a lot of people deal with, especially I've dealt with it. I still deal with it. It's just a normal part of the human experience. But these tools should help you out. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and share it with a friend, leave a comment or a like, and let me know what video ideas that you guys want. I have a couple of stuff that I have written down that I'm going to be knocking out videos within the next couple of weeks, but if there's anything in particular that you guys need help with or would like me to talk about, I'd be more than happy to help you guys out with that.